Gracefully Grayson, Part 2, Chapter 13. I grab my stuff off the seat where I left it. I don't feel like myself as I put on my jacket and backpack and walk out the side doors of the school and into the darkness. My breath is a puff of fog in front of me in the frozen air. Across the street, I turn around to look at Porter. Most of the lights are still on inside, and the whole school practically glows against the black sky. The door of the East Gym opens. A group of girls walks out, talking and laughing, and I wonder what time football practice will be over. I watch 3 teachers come out the giant arched front doorway, holding overflowing tote bags. They walk down the steep steps to the parking lot. I'm suddenly exhausted, but I force myself to think about what happened on stage. I try to remember exactly how I felt before I asked Finn if I could try out for Persephone, but it's a blur. But then I think about reading Persephone's lines with Miss Layden. That's not a blur. I can remember that. I remember how perfect it felt. I felt like I was Persephone, and I start to smile. The gym door opens again, and a few more girls walk out, basketballs in hand. That was very, very well done, Finn had said, and it seemed like he meant it, and I felt that way too. I felt like it was very, very well done. There's a huge pile of snow next to the sidewalk behind me, and I run up it and jump off the other side onto the snow-covered lawn. Yes, I call out, and 2 old ladies walking down the sidewalk next to the bus stop look my way. I run across the snow, my ankles burning with cold, just as the bus pulls up. I skip up the steps, and the driver is watching me with a little smile on her face. I look at her name tag. "Hi, Dory," I say, and I wonder if she has kids. She looks amused. "Good evening." I smile and I sit down in the empty seat behind her. I pop my backpack onto the seat next to me, and I think of Amelia. Suddenly, I can barely breathe. I just tried out to be a girl in front of the entire school. I imagine Amelia, Lila, Megan, Hannah, and Haley at the lunch table, huddled together, their heads touching. I can practically hear their voices and laughter floating up from the jumble of the headbands and braids and long, just brushed hair. He did what? What a freak. I take my backpack off the seat next to me, hold it on my lap, and rest my head on it as the bus pulls away. At home, the apartment is empty. I bring my backpack to my room, drop it on the floor, and look at myself in the mirror. I wonder what Finn and Miss Landon saw at tryouts. I felt like I was Persephone. Did they see me standing there in front of them? Or did they see her? I try not to let it, but the image of the girls' faces bursts into my mind again. Ryan and Sebastian join them, and Ryan's gaze stabs at me. I rub my eyes with my fists hard to create bursting firecrackers to burn the picture away. I should just forget about it and type my humanities paper, but I don't feel like it, so I lie on my bed and try to think about the tryout and the feeling of being Persephone. I try to remember it exactly. Eventually, I hear the front door open and close and the sounds of Aunt Sally, Uncle Evan, Jack, and Brett in the other room. Jack pounds on my door and tells me it's time for dinner. At the dining room table, I sit down next to Brett and scoop some lasagna, take out lasagna onto my plate. I'm too wound up to eat, so I push my food around while Uncle Evan reaches for the pitcher of water in front of me. It's really too bad we couldn't make that trip to Costa Rica work, isn't it, boys? He pours water into all of our glasses. "Tell me about it," Jack says. "Every single one of my friends is going somewhere awesome. Did you know the Aarons are going to South Africa?" "Huh?" Uncle Evan answers, sitting back down and blowing on his lasagna. "Well, I'm sorry, guys. There was just no way. Not with the craziness that's ensuing at the office." And he turns to Aunt Sally. "At least you'll get some time off, huh, Sal? What are you going to do with yourself?" "Now there's a question," Aunt Sally says, chuckling. "I never know what to do with free time. So how was school?" Uncle Evan asks. "Whatever," Jack says. "It's almost break, so there's nothing much going on. I'm sure this is Jack's latest excuse for not doing his homework." And for a second, I think back to his winning science fair project in 4th grade. The summer before school started, he'd set up all different kinds of birdhouses at Aunt Tessa and Uncle Hank's lake house in Michigan to see which ones the birds preferred. I remember them hanging in the overgrown rose bushes, little house wrens flying in and out of the tiny doorways, and I try to remember exactly when Jack stopped caring about everything, but I can't pinpoint it. Brett, how was your day? Uncle Evan probes. Good, it was good. Lucia spilled her water bottle on the computer table at after school club and got in big trouble because you can't bring water bottles to the computer table, and there was an assembly. Is that right? Uncle Evan asks him, and Aunt Sally smiles and leans over to cut up the green beans on his plate. What kind of assembly? I don't know. Some people in weird costumes with instruments. It was a string quartet from the Children's Symphony Orchestra, Jack says quietly. They did a holiday concert, but just for the elementary school. Aunt Sally stops cutting Brett's food, and looks up. For a second, she and Uncle Evan stare at Jack. What? He finally asks. I saw a flyer in the hall. Uncle Evan clears his throat. Grayson, he asks, how about you? Anything interesting happening with you today? I hesitate and push my lasagna around on my plate some more. I think of the soft curtains on the stage and the warm, thick water air. I tried out for the spring play, I say. Uncle Evan and Aunt Sally and Jack stop eating and stare at me. They look stunned. Brett looks around at everyone. What? He asks. That's so cool, Grayson. We're doing a play soon, too. He looks around again. What? I'm sorry, what? A smile starts to creep across Jack's face, and I look back down at my plate. Doesn't Mr. Finnegan direct the middle school play, Jack asks. Yeah, I say. So what? He shakes his head. That guy is so gay. He's grinning like an idiot, and I have a sudden urge to get up from my chair and kick him. But I never would, so I dig my nails into the black leather seat instead. Jack! Aunt Sally and Uncle Evan yell at the same time. What's wrong with you? Aunt Sally goes on. I heard Mr. Finnegan's the best teacher in the whole school, Brett says. He is, I say. I'm still staring at Jack. My ears feel like they're on fire. The play he's directing, it's amazing. He's a genius. Whatever, Jack says as he wipes his mouth with the back of his hand. I'm sure it will be a snoozer. He looks at Aunt Sally and Uncle Jack, then back at his plate. He puts his fork down. What's the big deal? All the school plays are. My goodness, Jack. Let's not forget that you were in almost every single play when you were in elementary school, Aunt Sally says. You love drama club. Jack rolls his eyes. Aunt Sally turns to me, smiling. Grayson, I think it's great that you tried out, don't you, Ev? I do, Uncle Evan says, sounding proud. I definitely do. So when do you find out if you made it? My heart skips a beat. Everyone makes it, I stammer quickly. I'm going to be the mayor in our play, Brett says. When do you know what part you have? I can't talk about it anymore. Monday after break, I tell them, pushing my chair back. I have a big paper to type. Can I go to my room, I ask. I put my plate on the kitchen counter and leave them and their curious gazes behind me. The next morning in humanities, I'm restless. One part of me feels like doing the mile run in gym, and the other part of me wants to go to the nurse's office and lie down on one of those little cots. I prop open my notebook in front of me and watch Finn at his desk at the front of the room. I scream silent messages to him. I need this role. Then my stomach drops. How could I be wishing for this? He looks up at once and catches my eye. I feel my face flush and look quickly out the window. The old snow looks gray. I watch Amelia out of the corner of my eye throughout the double period. She and Lila exchange looks and mouth words to each other. Amelia writes something in huge letters on a piece of notebook paper, rips it out, and holds it under her desk where Lila can read it from across the room. Lila starts laughing and buries her face in her hands, and by the time the bell rings, Amelia's paper is still only half a page long. I lean down to pack my backpack. So where were you yesterday? Amelia asked me. Did you get picked up after school? Oh, no, I say, pretending nothing's wrong. I take a deep breath and look her in the eyes. I actually tried out for the spring play. Her face lights up. Really? Yeah, Finn's directing. I think that's great, Grayson, she says. I bet you'll meet a ton of new friends. She swings her backpack over her shoulder and gathers her long hair in her hands. I swear she looks relieved. Will I see you at lunch, or are you going to the library? Library, I mumble as she walks to Lila's desk. I can't imagine ever sitting down with them at the lunch table again. Then I pass Finn's desk. I avoid his eyes and walk out the door alone.